good evening, my friends. It's good to see you tonight. Welcome to another evening of Bible study. I want to appreciate everybody that's here with me. KB Browns, I see you, my brother. Nothing but mad love. And DJ Rockin' Ron, I love you so much, sir. Thank you all for coming in. For those that will come and those that are listening and auditing, but are not necessarily talking just yet in the chat. Come on, DJ Cali Kitty, I see you. Good evening to you, sir. Now, I want to go ahead and jump right in, as is our custom, to not delay the time, but to get right into the word. Now, we stopped on yesterday because we pretty much followed through the pattern of the Reese chronological listing, where we completed the book of Job. If you haven't done all of the reading, please go back and catch it. We're doing pretty much highlights and getting opportunities to pull out nuggets, if you will. But as I said, and will continue to say, the actual reading for the day is roughly about an hour's worth of reading if you actually do the reading. And I do want you to do the reading. The journey here is to go from Genesis to Revelation. Stay with us throughout the course of the year, and we will, in chronological order, go from Genesis to Revelation. Now, we see that, again, Job is a contemporary of Abraham. As a matter of fact, we identified that Job and Haran, Abram's brother, were born on about the same day. So there we have that element of putting that time and chronology in order so that we can see just about where they were in the time of years. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and because I'm not going to cover all the material again for the reading, because the reading is about an hour's worth of reading if you go through that. I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to start at a particular point that I've chosen to begin on tonight. So when we look at Abram, and again, his name has not been changed yet. We look at Abram and we're looking at his family. We see the birth of Milcah, the daughter of Haran, around 1963 BC. Circa somewhere around that time. Then we got the birth of Sarai, the daughter of Terah, and that's why Abram keeps pulling this stunt. He does it more than once in telling her, "Say you're my sister," because she is the daughter of Terah. They don't share the same birth mother, but they do have the same father. So we can be clear on that point. As I said, he wasn't lying. He had her tell the truth, but they were married. And we know back in those days, it was not strange. It was customary for them to intermarry within their families. So that wasn't something that would be where we would be very put off and offended by that in these days and times. However, I do think there's something to getting a little close. When you get a little close and start turning the family tree into a family wreath, I'm just saying. Now, that's my opinion. Everybody doesn't have to agree with me, but that's my opinion. When that family tree starts turning into a family wreath, it gets a little... No. Anyway, and at the end of the day, that's why he keeps, and he does it more than once, he keeps doing this "tell them you're my sister" scenario. Then we have the death of Ru. He's 239 years in 1949. You see that in Genesis 11:21. Then we come on to the marriage of Sarai in 1927. You'll see that in Genesis 11:29 through 30. Then we go to the birth of Nahor's children. Again, we're talking about siblings to Abram. So that we find in Genesis 22 verses 21 through 22. Circa 1927 to 1905. Remember, the years are going backwards because we're getting closer to zero. When you're looking at the years and the dates that way, the years are going to get smaller. Huz in 1925, and Buzz, that used to just, when I was a kid, Huz and Buzz just tore me up. Listen, KB Browns, that's all I'm saying. When you get a little close and that family tree starts turning into a family wreath, something just doesn't quite turn out right. It just be just a little bit off. You know what I'm saying? Just a little too close. So Huz and Buzz, that used to just crack the wreath. That used to crack me up, Huz and Buzz. But yes, we have them also in the family lineage. Now, remember, we said of the three sons of Noah that survived the flood, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. The descendants of Jesus and the covenant, Abraham, they all came through Shem. So this is actually the lineage of Shem, Shem, that we're actually looking at here. But particularly at this point, we're focusing on Abraham as the patriarch. Then we see in 1907, Abram, because his name's not changed yet, travels from Ur of the Chaldeans to Haran. Or Haran, whichever way you want to pronounce that. In 1907, 1927, you have that time that you're kind of dealing with that 7-year window. You find Genesis 12 verses 1 through 3, and also Genesis 11 and 31. Then the call of the promise and bringing him into power, 1898 to 1885 BC. We're looking at Genesis 14 verses 1 through 4. Then we see the death of Terah, that's Abram's father. He lives 205 years, and that's going to be around April 1 through 4, somewhere between the 1st and the 4th of 1892 is where they have time dated that. And Genesis 11:32 gives us that. And then what they call the fourth dispensation promise. Now, on to Canaan, April the 5th, 1892, Genesis 12, verses 4 and 5, April the 15th, 1892, Genesis 12, 6 to 9. And again, these are the approximate years that Reese, by going back and tracking, has given us this time window. Now, I want to, let's see, I want to see where, okay, yes, I need to keep going. All of this is going to be in your reading, so make sure you cover this. We go down into Egypt one more time. There's a famine in the land, and he pulls this "tell him you're my sister" stunt once more and again. Genesis 12, verses 11 through 13. And at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. And he leaves with wealth once more and again. Then he arrives back in Bethel in 1891 BC. That's found in Genesis, the 13th chapter. Verses 3 and 4. This is where I really want to get to. Then his relationship with Lot. He separates from Lot. We talked about that. Now, y'all know we jumped a little bit because as soon as Lot's name came up, we went immediately to Lot's wife and the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And, you know, at the end of the day, I want us to, again, be aware, I think, because I was stressing the point that I am a womanist theologian. I do feel like there are certain areas of the text that are very problematic as it relates to dealing unjustly with females and women. And so we went immediately to the story of Lot and covered that. But I want to start here today because, you know, I try to get in where am I at? I'm already at 6:11. So make sure you get all of that reading in. But I'm going to pick us up somewhere about the relationship with Lot. We have the separation. Then we have where Abram actually delivers Lot, where Lot and his family have been taken captive. Okay, so you'll find that story in Genesis 14 verses 14 through 16. But I actually want to come here, and some of y'all are going to be like, yeah, you would come here because, you know, this is where preachers go. But I want to touch on this point because this is an error for a lot of people in their thinking. Also, I want to show how many times when you find your spiritual guide or leader, that starts your journey. So, and so stay with me here. I know for some, this is going to get, you know, like, oh, I might have known she'd come here. But one of the things that is often misunderstood and misstated is that tithing is under the law. Now, some of y'all say, I might have known she was going to talk about some tithes and offering. But I want to do it. And unfortunately, I feel that because ministry has been prostituted so terribly, people cut off their blessings from tithing. Now, I said what I said. You can agree with me or not, but I'm going to say it once more and again. Ministry has been so prostituted that all I have to do is almost say tithes, and people start swelling up, getting mad, and going into a conniption fit because they just don't want to hear about tithing. But I want you to understand that there is a spiritual principle, and I'm not getting ready to play the game that preachers do, trying to talk your money out of your pocket. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not where I'm at. But I do want you to see the spiritual principle. So this is what happened. Lot was taken captive, and Abram took his army and went and fought for Lot. Now, there are 10 kings involved in this story. Abram goes and fights to retrieve Lot and his family and all his possession and bring him back, and also comes out with spoils from that fight. Now, this predates, we're not talking about any kind of covenant. We're not talking about any kind of law. And this is why I definitely want to stop and address this, because there is that, and let me just interject the scripture, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Now, one of the easiest ways to tell, and I'm just going to keep it real. One of the easiest ways to tell whether there is, and I'm not trying to tell you to a particular ministry, church, this or that and the other. There's so many ways to tithe. There's so many means of being a blessing to people. And I'm going to leave that right there. But at the end of the day, it really, where you are blessed, you should be a blessing. Now, check this out. So Melchizedek, who is the priest of God, comes after Abram has got Lot and rescued him from being taken captive by these kings. Okay. So Abram goes out and he goes to battle, delivers Lot and his family. And so then we get to the point where when Melchizedek comes to see Lot, okay, and I am going to be, for those that maybe want to see it, I'm in Genesis chapter 14, verses 17 through 24, and maybe I need to put that up for some of you to see. But when Melchizedek comes to see Abram, I'm sorry if I said Lot, when he comes to see Abram, he blesses him and pronounces a blessing over Abraham's life. And this is what I want you to understand. This really starts the beginning of Abram's spiritual journey. Now, hear me. This really starts the beginning of his spiritual journey. There is much to be said when you find a worthy spiritual leader. And I'm not saying that because I go by spiritual thought leader. I'm trying to get you all in a spiritual minded principle, because it's been so prostituted that in these days and times, it's almost taught as if it's demonic. And let me tell you why that's so effective. Because if you're taught and you think it's absolutely positively demonic, you ain't gonna do it. But by not, you're actually cutting off your own blessing. Hear me when I say this. So I want you to look at this principle. And so I'm not shocked. I'm in no wise shocked that this is where we are in our current times, because people don't realize how much they miss their blessing by really being a blessing. So, and we've, again, there is that where your heart is, there will where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I am a firm believer that God gives us blessings and resources to be a blessing to others. Now, there is balance with that, because some of us have been taught so heavily and inundated the other direction. We give everything away and don't keep anything. And that becomes problematic, because if you give away the seed and there's no seed left to plant in your own field, whose field is going to be barren is yours. So you have to understand and begin to operate with a place of balance. But I'm trying to kind of touch on the idea. Let me put this up. Let me set that there so that you can see it. There is a principle, and I'm not talking about just some fly by night, because there's all kinds of, as my father said, lying wonders and lying prophets out there today. That's not what I'm talking about. But I am saying this, and I'm not saying this to try to dredge up money. This don't get confused on my conversation here. What I'm trying to teach you is a spiritual concept, a spiritual concept. So when we look at Genesis chapter 14, and let me go ahead and get some of this up on the. Oh, let me get the. I got to get the right. Got to get the right keyboard to be able to do that. Because this is what I want you to pay attention to. Up to this point, we see things going on in Abram's life, but we haven't yet got to the promise. He's still out here running around, telling folks, that's my sister. He's still, he's still maturing. He's still developing. He's still coming into his place in God. And at the end of the day, nothing wrong with that. But you've got to come to a place where you move into your promise. You need to move into your promise. Now, this is what happens. And I'm getting ready to, let me see if I can, did I get the right chapter? Yes, I believe I'm in the right chapter. Let me come on down. So Abram goes out here and he does war, and he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. So here he goes out here and he saves the day. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shava, which is the king's dale. And it is that was what it was called. It was the kings, the valley of the kings. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. Now, I'm going to tell you again, this has nothing to do with covenant. This has nothing to do with the law. None of that has been given yet. None of that has been given. And so the reason why I want to touch on that, because once more and again, that's usually the argument that, and at the end of the day, I'm not trying to get you into a mindset of, oh, I gotta, financially go into this, that, and the other. I'm not getting ready to take you into that legal bondage. However, what I'm trying to get you to understand, for those that think it's a principle under the law, this predates the law. So it's not under the law. You're in error. Secondly, we have Melchizedek, who's been manifested as the priest of God. And what happens? He blessed him, and this is what Melchizedek is doing to Abraham. He blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of the heaven and the earth." He starts decreeing and declaring a thing over Abram. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, Abram, he's had a few ups and downs here, and he's slowly but surely becoming a man of renown. But now it's not just a matter of amassing things and amassing property, amassing cattle. And of course, God told him to get up and go to a land, and I'm going to make you as the sands of the earth and the stars in the sky, and so on and so forth. At this point, here we go. And we're looking at, and he blessed the Most High God, which he delivered into thine enemies into thy hand. Let me read that again. And blessed be the Most High God. Let me read it correctly. Which hath delivered thine enemy into thy hand. And this is what Abram did. And he gave him tithes of everything that when he went out there and went to battle. He gave him tithes of all. Everything that he took in the spoils, he gave tithes to Melchizedek. That is not under the law, and that has nothing to do. It predates all of that. So I just want to clarify that, because so many times we get into a really, really nitpicky conversation and start talking and try to get technical, and people will throw that out as to why I'm not under that anymore. That's not where I'm trying to go with it, but I do want to clarify the error, because tithing predated the law. Just be clear on that. Tithing predated the law. So if that's been you running out there saying, I'm not tithing because it's under the law, the concept is because the man of God blessed him, Abram blessed him back with tithe. Okay? Be clear on that. Because the man of God blessed him, Abram gave him tithe of everything that he had. Okay? Has nothing to do with the law and everything to do with gratitude and understanding spiritual authority. And I hope you all, come on, stay lifted. I just want y'all to be clear, because I've heard people getting whole entire arguments on this point, and you're just as wrong as two left shoes. It's not under the law. The tithing that Abram did predates any of that. It comes from gratitude and understanding different levels of spiritual authority, and releasing a blessing on your own self. Come on, y'all. I'm trying to get you to understand. There's a blessing in giving for everybody that's so greedy and trying to hold on to every single penny that you have, and you go out there and get your own. At the end of the day, if we look at how God has been so good to us, number one, can we not be a blessing to others? Can we not be a blessing to someone else? And I believe that there are many times, truck driver, I believe there are many times that God puts money and blessings in your hand to be a blessing to somebody else. When we look at all of the different social programs and everything else that we have out here that are not working, it wasn't the society's responsibility. Deuteronomy 28 is very clear. It's our responsibility to take care of folks. It's our responsibility to take care of my sister, my brother, the children, the widows, the fatherless. That's our responsibility. But we're so worried about, I'm not going to give you my money because you ain't going to do right with it. Well, at the end of the day, there are so many ways to get around. If you got greedy people that are out there doing stuff that you don't have any business doing, there are still ways to be a blessing to God's people. Child, you can go buy some groceries and take it to their house yourself. You don't have to put it in the offering for the people, that the benevolence offering. And I'm not saying don't give to your church. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to those that really want to make that an issue, I want you to understand there is no issue that bars you from being a blessing to other people. It's just not. Just say you don't want to do it. But don't start running around talking about, honey, that's under the law and I ain't got to do that. And it's not under the law. Please do not get out with that misinterpretation again. This is not the law. Gratitude and thankfulness, KB Browns, that's what it manifests. Gratitude and thankfulness. And it's almost like, come on here, it's almost like the man of God, Melchizedek, the high priest of the Lord, giving Abram a blessing, and Abram doesn't even have the wherewithal to say thank you. See, y'all, I'm gonna lose somebody here. You don't have the wherewithal to say thank you and be a blessing back. So it is a matter of both gratitude and thankfulness, but it also releases your blessing, because immediately after that, we get the covenant that's going to be made with Abraham. I want y'all to be clear on that, because and listen, there's an old proverb that says, when you're ready, your teacher will show up. When you're ready, your teacher will show up. Okay? When you are ready, your teacher will manifest. Come on now. When Abraham, and he's still Abram at this point, when Abram was ready, Melchizedek showed up. So now we see him transitioning, and let me go ahead and put the rest of this in. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. And listen, watch what Abraham did. Abram. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lift up mine hand unto the Lord most high God, the possessor of heaven and earth. Now check this out. That I will not take from a thread, even to the shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou say, I have made Abram rich. There are some places in your journey, even when people come to you and they make you want to think, oh, I want to give you everything I got, this, that, and the other. There are times when you need to be wise and understand what the time is and what the Spirit of the Lord is saying, because every good gift is not the perfect gift. There are those that want to give into your bosom so they can own you. Am I talking to anybody? But Abram said, lest you be able to say that I have made Abram, I'm not going to take anything from you. Not one thing, not a latchet from your shoelaces, but listen, so many times we look and we say, oh, God is blessing me. Somebody showed up and said, but baby, sometimes there's something on the tail end of that giving. Come on, truck driver. There's something on the tail end of that giving, Calicitty, that's going to make you wish you had never, ever, ever touched a penny of anything that they have. Or it may not always be monetary. It can come at you in other directions as well. But at the end of the day, lest you say you made Abram. No, ma'am, no, sir. I'm going to pass on that. And some of us have to really discipline ourselves because we get desperate. We have situations that come on in our lives, and the next thing you know, somebody comes like the king of Sodom saying, I want to give this to you. And there are some times that you still need to say, no, thank you. You've been down that road, truck driver. You understand what I'm saying? You need to say, no, thank you. Everything that glitters isn't gold. You understand? And every blessing is not a blessing. So when Abram says, because he's got a connection now that he's developing with his God, as he's journeying on and as things are happening and as he's experiencing God in different ways, he's now, and he's been blessed. Listen, Melchizedek has come and set spiritual order. Some of you need, come on. Now some of you need spiritual order. I said something right there. Some of you need spiritual order. And so as we see this time and season and the liberality that Abram gives to Melchizedek, now we're ready to move forward. Because what did I say earlier? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Here, man of God, bless you. Come on. Now he's ready. And so, can I be the truth? Can I tell the truth and be truthful? Sometimes the last pass of a test that some of y'all cover is going to be your money, because you and your money are so... Woo! If God gets your pocketbook, if God gets your time, because there are so many things to tithe. It's not just money. When God gets your heart that cares about the widow and the fatherless and those that, listen, stay lifted. You understand what I'm saying? Some folk, that is the test to overcome, is that pocketbook. Both of them, but nonetheless, your money maker and your pocketbook. Listen, that when you can get both of those pocketbooks under subjection, then you're ready to do something. Am I talking to anybody? So as we see Abram here by the tithe, come on, stay lifted. I had to throw that out just for some humor. You are now positioned and ready to start including your spiritual journey. Some of that other is just getting, let's just tie up some loose ends in your natural life that are just out here flapping. Let's tie up a little bit of this, let's tie up a little bit of that and the other. But now we're ready to start moving into our covenant position. Come on, John CPW. Yeah, I'm telling you, when you can get both of those pocketbooks right, I'm telling you what God loves, and that's the truth. That becomes the test, if you will. So then he says, lest you say, I have made Abraham rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner and Eshcol and Mamre, let them take their portion. Now come on here, this part right here, I want us to, in your butt, KB Browns, and the money in your bosom. The money in your bosom. So, going to be a lot of people that will not make the check. Come on here. Yes, we're talking about pocketbooks. YouTube, Eddie Love. That's Tall Pumps. If anybody doesn't know who that is, I'm just trying to tell you, because there is something about when you understand the principle of being a blessing. And I'm going to say it again. I know we have prostituted this thing. I know we have. But I also know why it's so important to make it out of order is because there's a blessing for you. And I'm not saying this to talk money out of your pockets. And I'm trying to get you all to understand a spiritual principle. A spiritual principle. So as we come into this place, let me say this last thing about Abram that we see here. And then from there, in that 15th chapter, we go right into where God begins to make the covenant with Abram. But I wanted you to see the proximity of him tithing to Melchizedek and then moving from that into his spiritual covenant. Do y'all see where I'm going with that? Do you understand the concept of what I'm saying? Where he understands the gratitude, the release of a blessing, the thankfulness for what God has blessed him with. He gives back to God through Melchizedek. So from there, we're now, our hearts, minds, spirits are ready to move into a covenant relationship. Because listen, God, everything I got is yours. We're not, I'm not having issue with you about wherever and whenever and however you want to come into my life and say, Regina, I need this. Regina, I need you there. Regina, it's yours. Unequivocally, it's yours. I surrender it to you. We're not going to have to squabble and fight about this. It's yours. And I love this about him. And I left that last verse 24 up there. And this is where we're going to close because I think I'm 6 minutes over. So this is where I love this about him. Yes, I surrender all. I surrender all. That's one of my favorites. I surrender all. This is what I like about him. He doesn't muzzle the men that are with him from being blessed. Now, I'm going to even use that somewhat as a litmus test for the days and times in which we live, because a lot of these so-called spiritual gurus and leaders that are running around, they're not going to bless the brethren that are with them. They're not going to bless the sisters that are with them. They're not going to bless the people that are with them. They want to hoard and all of whatever's. They want that for themselves. But notice Abram's posture. I'm not taking a thing. I don't want anything from you, lest you say you made Abram. But the young men that have come and gone with me and fought with me, let them have their portion. Do you see that? When you have someone that has liberality, a heart that cares for others and not about what's going in my pocket, what's going in my coffers, what's going in my house note, my car. Listen, he didn't call us to do all of that. That's a bunch of foolishness. But at the end of the day, there is something to be said for when you can step to the side and say, let them have their portion. Let them have what they need. Let them have what they have coming to them. We not out here scrapping and you know, I'm telling you, these are the types of attitudes and heart. I want you to endear yourselves to that kind of spiritual leader. You hear what I'm saying? Someone who genuinely, these attributes that we see here manifest through Abram, these are the attributes you should be looking for when you start talking about now we're ready to move into a spiritual realm with some spiritual guidance, some spiritual leadership, whatever. This is what you should be looking for, because it speaks so well that this man's heart is after God and it's not after stuff. But yet and still, he understood there's a blessing in being a blessing. Okay. So I want to start with that, and then we'll come right back tomorrow because my 30 minutes is definitely up. We'll come right back tomorrow and we'll start with the covenant, because now we have shifted and we're ready. We're in a posture. We're in a position. We're ready to move forward. We're ready to receive. We're ready to go through the transformation and the change. We're ready to walk into our blessed place. We're ready to walk into what God has promised us from the beginning. Okay, so and understand, he's still going to be going through maturing processes. He's still going to be going through development, because he's not finished using Sarah for his sister. That lie, honey, that's a good lie. It works for him. You understand the words that come to mind? It works for him. And we've already talked about the womanist position on that. Why would you not cover your wife? Why would you not protect her? Why would you throw her out here to go into strangers' households to save your life and your skin because she's so beautiful they'll kill me? No. So, you know, we've already addressed that, and we can touch on it again, but understand he's still in development process. And you all are not going to get where you want to be overnight. Do not expect this overnight scenario. This journey, it takes patience, it takes peace, it takes determination and commitment. Just get ready, because again, and I don't say that with some kind of angst. I'm saying that again, let's come from the standpoint and position of, because I love him. The love of Christ constrains me, not because I have to. And even going back to the tithing concept, which I'm going to say one last time tonight, I hope, that is not under the law. We are not, there is no covenant, there is no law, there is none of that. Okay? So if that's been you out there running around and regurgitating, because there's a whole bunch of people that have said it, there are a whole bunch of people that keep saying it, it is still in error. There is no law here. There is no covenant yet. So this is not, tithing is not an issue of law and covenant. All right. So if there's anything that anybody else wants to cover, please feel free. But you know, this is where I go back and say hello, because I don't stop once we start the teaching, because I don't want to keep pulling away. But I do come back at the end. Good evening, good evening. Listen, DJ Rock and Ron is always, that's my brother. I love me some you, and thank you so much for being in here. DJ Kitty Cow, my thing is jumping on me here. I'm trying to control it. It doesn't want to be controlled. KB Browns, I love you, my brother. It's so good to see you in the house tonight. Callie Kitty, okay, let me get you right. Hey, I saw Royal Confessions. Come on in here, royalty. It's good to see you. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Come on in the house. Good to see you tonight. Coming on down, and I'm looking. Stay lifted. So much love to you, sis. Always. Truck driver, come on in here, my brother. You know I love you. That's my Mufasa. Coming down, and I'm looking, and I saw Edie Love, who is actually Tall Pumps, is in here through YouTube. It's good to have you tonight, sis. Nothing but mad love to you. I appreciate you for being in the house. Let's see. Jonna CPW snuck in here on me tonight. So much love to you. You know about them pocketbooks. When them pocketbooks get saved, honey, you save for real. Coming on down, and I'm looking. Let's see. I'm trying to see who else is in here. Stacy 546. There's my twin. There's my sister. So much love to you. It's good to see you. I am so happy to see you in the midst on tonight. I hope I haven't missed anybody. No, there's Dalen. My Dalen 628 is in the house. So much love to you, baby. The sowing of seeds is always beneficial. Yes, ma'am. Come on with that. And I do try. DK, come on. Good to see you. Mad love to you. I'm sorry that I missed you the first time around, but when I scrolled back up, I saw you there. Hello to you, and nothing but mad love to you. Thank you for coming in tonight. Again, if you have not read from Genesis to Revelations, this is where you want to be this year. We're going to take that journey in chronological order. And we are now back in Genesis to finish the rest of the story of Abraham and keep moving. We've already completed everything in the book of Job. Job is the contemporary to Abraham, for those that did not know that, and was born. Reese Chronological has him listed as date of birth the same year as Haran, which is Abram's brother. So as we come on down, we've already covered Job. We're getting back into the story of Abram, and we're about ready to change his name from Abram to Abraham. Keep reading. And for those that, again, if this is your first time coming in the midst, we are studying from the 1 year chronological Bible. This is the Tyndale version. So if you want to get that, that's fine. And we are with that companion using a study guide. If you want to go out and get the Bible study guide for the 1 year chronological, that is the beginner's version. But we also have the outline in my Discord. If you want to go out into Word on Fire, click on that pin and get Reese Chronological, which is definitely the more in-depth and a lot more. I'm not even gonna say a little bit more, but a lot more advanced. If you want to go out there and get that, it is in my Discord, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like, because I don't know that we went over there tonight, but it looks like this. If you want to get a good look at that, it's out there. KB Browns, it's a blessing. Got so much love to you. So that is out there, and you can follow via that means if you want to, and the reading material day by day is in either of the two. So, and I am flipping back and forth because I'm using the beginners of the Tyndale, but I'm also with that intermittently including material and timing based from Reese Chronological as well. So we're doing both of those simultaneously. So you might have to kind of catch up and see where I am, but I'll try to keep you abreast as to where I am. And that's how we do it. I was looking to see if anybody had any comments, anything else that they wanted to say. Thank you so much, KB. I appreciate you. I was looking to see how do you move into your promise? I see you. So what I want to really impress here is DJ Callie Kitty. Obey, obedience. Get into that relationship. God is not slack concerning his promise, as the manner of some is. God is not slack. Whatever he has promised you, God is going to bring it to pass. what I want you to do is to focus on the intimacy of that relationship and being grounded and anchored. I do still have some of the Institute for Higher Consciousness out there. We talk about grounding. We talk about getting anchored to the core, and there's so many different elements of that that come into play. And it's all matter. We talk about elements and matter, and there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. I can't put all of that into the talk and teaching tonight, but I would recommend if you go out and look at anchoring the core. And I believe you can find that both in my YouTube channel as well as I know you can see it in Patreon. So, but let me know, and I can get some of that to you. But just anchor your core, and that's being anchored in God, being anchored to yourself. Sometimes we're disconnected from ourselves. Get connected to who you are, and I'm talking about who God created you to be. And get back to yourself. Get back to who God created you to be here in this present world. And just obey. Just walk it out on a daily. Just be led of the Spirit. As many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons and daughters of God. As many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons and daughters of God. Just be led of the Spirit. And you'll learn even that by trial and error. Listen, early on in my journey with the Lord, I have had a clear understanding and hearing of the voice of the Lord. But sometimes I will say this, even as we talked on yesterday, and we talked about, what did I ask you all the question? What has you, when the Bible said, and now Job, he's a perfect and upright man. He's on point, but the Lord turned the captivity of Job when Job prayed for his friends. And we had a little bit of discussion yesterday, and there was no wrong answer. Things that can take us into captivity. Not that we're off the beaten path, not that we're in error, none of that, but still in captivity. So when we are looking at, this is what I'm constantly for myself, especially in these days and times, staying in the flow. Is there anything that blocks my flow? So there were, and for me, and you heard me on yesterday, you heard me keep saying and repeating, when you get those that you really look up to that start, assessing, rebuking, passing judgment, whatever the case may be. For me, that tended to be a real block because I had people that I held in such high esteem and I had up on pedestals. So when they would come at me sideways, then it would throw me off. It would throw me off. But I still knew the voice of the Lord. But what I found myself doing was that I would tend to compromise, or when I say compromise, I'm not talking about something negative. I'm saying instead of following what I knew to be the voice of the Lord, I would start, my compromise would be to listen, if you will, to those people that I held in high regard and start finding myself kind of lean into their understanding instead of what God was telling me to do. And the end result every single time, shipwreck. Not just once, but every single time was shipwreck. And even that became a learning experience, DJ Cali Kitty, because at some point you have enough shipwreck, you get tired of shipwrecking, and you heard the voice of the Lord. I'm not listening to what you say. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much and I still respect you. I don't disrespect you, but I'm not going to allow my regard and my respect for you to what I want to say, alter what I know God told me to do, and so whatever that is, and as we said on yesterday, everybody's captivity is different. You just need to be able to identify what takes you captive, and stay in that place where you're consistent. Consistency is so important in our journey with the Lord, because so many times We start, we stop, we go here, we go there, we go everywhere. We do little of this and a little that, and then who said what, and then we got a new trend. And no, I need you to be very clear on my sheep know my voice. I need you to be very clear on God speaking to you and then be consistent to that. And that will take you into your promise. I promise you. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for that. Any other questions that anyone might have? Let me scroll back up and make sure I didn't miss anyone that may have a question in the chat. All right. All hearts and minds clear. I don't see anything else as of yet. I'll give it a hot second, only because I know that sometimes YouTube takes a little bit longer to get to me. I don't know why it's so slow in its messaging getting into my system. So that is why sometimes I'll talk a little bit longer just in case somebody from YouTube has sent something and it's caught up in the system. But all hearts and minds clear. I don't see anything popping in. I think I've given a pretty good amount of time for people to type in right in. I love you guys. You know I do. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And I invite you to be here. Go ahead and read. Continue to stay up with the date. And we will be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Peace for your journey.